Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the Closing Bell on the Stock Movers Report. The companies making moves at the close of U.S. trading with Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, Romaine Bostick, and Scarlett Fu.
So many gainers. Look at the green on that map. So many gainers to choose from. So get ready for Romaine to interrupt me and add to my list. Having said that, I got to talk about EA, Electronic Arts, because that is your number one gainer in the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100. Kind of ran into that spot after we saw that headline cross initially with the Wall Street Journal story, but Bloomberg also matching the reporting. Electronic Arts up about 15% here at the close today. This as that story came out that this company is nearing a deal to go private. It would be a massive deal to go private. We're talking about maybe a $50 billion leveraged buyout. It would be the largest buyout of all time, LBO of all time. This is according to people familiar. Again, we're talking about Silver Lake said to be a part of that, Saudi's public investment fund. So we will see ultimately if that happens. But what are you thinking?
Well, when I looked up, anytime I see these deals, I always look to see where they're ranked. I was actually surprised that $50 billion is basically the threshold for the biggest buyout ever, potentially, obviously, if this actually comes to fruition. I mean, you would think there would have been something bigger, but it was really that TXU deal, I guess, way back when, before Tim was born.
I was thinking
that was like a $45 billion.
Well, adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
I was thinking about is it KKR and Nabisco and
that was $31 billion. I mean, that's in real dollar. I mean, to Tim's point too, you have to adjust for inflation, but still. And then you had that $44 billion Twitter buyout, which is a deal.
All right, so EA definitely on my radar. A couple of chip names I just want to mention.
Take-Two was up also by about 5%.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, see, this is what happens, Vonnie.
Yeah. 10 minutes later, I get to the last one. All right, so chip names, let me go through it. We had Global Foundries and Intel both rallying. Global Foundries up about 8%, Intel up about 4.5%. This is after, again, the Journal, Wall Street Journal reported that the Trump administration is weighing a new plan to reduce U.S. reliance on chips made overseas. So we did see some movement in particular in those two names. I also want to mention PACCAR. It was top in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100 here at the close, up about 5.2%. It's a truck maker, and it rallied after President Trump announced new industry-specific tariffs that include a 25% levy on heavy trucks. And analysts say this company will benefit because it makes a lot of its trucks right here in the United States. U.S. production. There you go.
Can you get them at Costco?
I don't think so.
Well, that's where I'm going right now because it was the worst performer in the S&P 500, down 2.9% today. The company did report after the bell yesterday a mixed fourth quarter, including adjusted earnings per share and comp sales that excluded gas and FX that came in ahead of expectations. But analysts had high expectations. They said that the premium valuation versus its peers contributed to high expectations going into this print. Shares down today by about 2.9%. RH, they operate the restoration hardware chain of stores. Shares of furniture retailers, including RH, tumbled today. This after President Trump announced the U.S. will enact new tariffs on imported kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and other home products next week. RH, with the outspoken CEO, has already declined 46% this year. That was through yesterday's close. And finally, Klarna. Kind of been a mixed road for IPOs of late, Romaine. Klarna fell 3.8% today. Yeah. Remember, it IPO'd a few weeks ago at about $40 a share. It fell below the IPO price for the first time. And increased competition, worries about interest rates. We spoke to the CFO of the buy now, pay later firm Affirm yesterday, who essentially told us the same thing that Max Levchin told us a few weeks ago, the CEO of Affirm. Yeah. Everything looks good for us out there in the landscape. We're not seeing any cracks in the consumer.
All right, let's check on yields real quickly here. A mixed bag, but generally speaking, yields did not go much of anywhere. You're looking at moves of basically about 1 basis point down on the 2-year, up on the longer end of the curve. We should point out on a weekly basis, though, we are pretty much higher across the curve as a lot of people now really starting to rethink whether we are indeed going to get Fed rate cuts.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.